gentlemen, thank you for joining me on another episode of the Handle That Podcast. And today we're going to discuss, should a relationship as far as finances be 50-50? Now, let me go ahead and adjust this mic a little bit because I got a lot to say about this topic. Now, short answer, yes. Yes, it should be. Long answer, nothing in a relationship is truly going to be 50-50. Like, let's be honest, right? I personally feel that relationships only work best. I guess I should say not only, but relationships work best when the female likes the guy just a little bit more than he likes her, right? We can completely get into that in a completely different episode. But for this episode in particular, when you hear the term 50-50, you think about splitting bills right down the middle, right? When that term comes up, it doesn't necessarily mean, if the light bill is, $82.22 that I'm going to be like, okay, here's my $41.11. It doesn't necessarily mean that. What that term really means, well, for some people, it kind of does mean that. But for the majority, when a person says, okay, bills are going to be 50-50, that's just a short, easy way of saying, okay, I'm not going to be paying all the bills because we're going to be living together. You're going to use up this just like I'm going to use up this. Excuse me. You're going to do this just like I'm going to do this. So I shouldn't have to pay for every single thing just because that's what society says a real man is supposed to do. It's like whenever somebody throws out the term real man, it's usually a person who isn't a real man or who has never been experienced or exposed to a real man in their life. So I made this post on Facebook a couple years back, never let a person who has never had a real man in their life tell you what a real man is, because their definition of a real man is going to be jaded and very biased, and it's going to be catered towards, it's going to be, how do I say this? It's going to be catered in a certain way and geared towards that particular guy, basically paying for their lifestyle, basically doing all the things that they don't want to do themselves. They may be lazy, they may just don't want to do it. It doesn't matter. Their version of a real man basically takes responsibility for their mistakes. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm like, if you fuck up, why should I have to be responsible for that? So, and a lot of people don't really think, a lot of people don't really like that. There are a lot of women, who, guys too, but mainly women, who just don't feel as though that this is the way it should be. Men, they always say, men are supposed to be the head of the households. You supposed to lead and blah, 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 blah. One thing I notice about today's society is whenever you get into a conversation with a woman about who feels as though a man should pay for everything, it's kind of along the lines of it's beneficial in the moment. What do I mean by that? What I mean is more often than not, that same female will be one of the cats to say, niggas ain't shit, niggas ain't that, guys don't know how to do this, guys don't know how to do that, but will simultaneously be like, the man should pay all the bills. What? That doesn't make sense, because how can you be an advocate for a man paying all the bills? What comes along with paying all the bills is a certain level of respect. There's a certain level of, I hate to use this term, submissiveness, I guess. It's just so, that term in and of itself is just so kooky. But it's a certain level of, respect that comes along with a person or a man who pays all the bills. So how can you say that and then simultaneously be like, niggas ain't shit, men this, men that, just because you routinely choose the worst possible guy to be in your life, the one that take from you and leave you. So, it is what it is with that situation. But when you find yourself in a situation, in this particular situation, You have to put these things out first. If you meet somebody, you can date somebody. If you are getting serious with each other, these are the conversations that need to be had first, right? Conversations about kids, marriages, who's going to do what. These are the conversations that need to be put out, because when you leave these things up to speculation, they always fuck you over in the long run, right? They always fuck you over because one person will be expecting this, but we didn't even talk about it. We never discussed this shit. So how can you be expecting something from me? How could I, or how could you just assume I'm going to do this thing if we never discussed it? You see, it's just how confusing this shit goes. And you understand that a lot of guys who feel as though they shouldn't pay 100% of the bills, like, fuck that. I'll use myself as an example. I'm an adult. You're an adult. You have your lifestyle. I have my lifestyle. Chances are, if we're not balling out of control yet, we're going to be paying, going to be financing or leasing a car. What comes along with financing and leasing? Monthly installments. So I have to pay for both car notes, both insurances. I have to pay for the rent. I have to pay for the light. I have to buy the food. I have to I have to do all these things, and your job is to cook and clean. That doesn't make any fucking sense. That makes zero fucking sense. Whenever a motherfucker says, "Oh, well, you need somebody to cook and clean for you," that's the dumbest shit in the fucking world, right? That is the stupidest shit in the world. I am a grown ass man. I can clean up after myself. I can feed myself. Anybody who's listening to this and not looking at the video, the YouTube video, you can see, bro, I'm fucking massive. You really think I don't know how to feed myself? Nobody can ever say, "Wow, Jabbar, you fucking stink." I know how to clean myself. I know how to clean up after myself. I don't need a person to do that for me, right? Just like how you shouldn't need a person to pay all of your bills just because you're in a relationship. If that's the case, you might as well stay single. Because if I have to pay for every single thing in the relationship, what the fuck do I need you for? Right? Why are you here? Why are you here? For sex? I can get sex whenever the fuck I want. That is the mentality. That is both sides of the mentality that go into this type of situation, right? So if you are a person who feels as though, or fuck that, if you're a woman who feels as though a man should pay all of the bills, you have to look at the tangibles and intangibles of your relationship with this person. Okay, what are you bringing to the table? Because bringing two people worth of finances to a relationship is a big thing to bring to a relationship. So what are you equally bringing to a relationship other than cooking it and cleaning? You see what I'm saying? And then, God forbid, you got kids. Fucking daycare ranges from $200 to $600 a week. Let me say that again. Child daycare ranges from $200 to $600 per week. So let's just, if you lowball it, that's $800 a month. If you highball it, that's $2,400 fucking dollars a month. So on top of having to pay the rent, the light, the car note, the car insurance, the motherfucking goddamn, if you don't have a rent, you have a mortgage, paying for all the food, paying for shit if it breaks, fixing the cars, fixing the house, paying for all that. I now have to pay for, childcare, which in 10 months, that's already $24,000, right? $24,000. What exactly are you bringing to the table? And I know it may sound like I'm coming down on women, but that's not the case. I just really want to know, what are you bringing to the relationship besides pussy and being able to cook and clean? I just need to know. I just need to know, because the things that I've heard besides cooking and cleaning is, here again, oh, that's what a man is supposed to do. See, the problem, my beef with that, with this whole moniker of, oh, that's what a man is supposed to do. My beef with that is, you have to understand that, yes, by nature, Men will naturally take charge. By nature, women are naturally more nourishing and not nourishing, nurturing than men. That's nature, right? Aside from that, you're basically trying to apply old school methods to a new school problem. The new school problem being every fucking thing is more expensive. Cars are more expensive. Food is more expensive. Living conditions are more fucking expensive. The fucking, every 6 months to a year, your rent goes up like $50. So, when I first got my solo apartment back when I was 23, the rent was only $614 a month. Right. The next year they added the insurance, leasee's insurance. Or leaser, whatever the fuck we were called. They added that insurance. So that went up $15 plus an extra $50 because, rent has to go up. So it went from $614 to plus the $15 installment every month at $630 plus the $50. So in a year, my rent went from $614 to $680. By the time I left that apartment complex, I was paying $750 a month by myself. Right? Now, to some people, that might not be a lot. To some other people, that might be a little bit. But or that might be a hell of a lot of money. To me at the time, it was a lot of money, right? I'm not balling out of control right now. But we could all use an extra $750 fucking dollars a month in our pockets, right? Don't sit here and lie and say you couldn't. Oh God, sipping on a little bit of Hennessy. We mix it up, man. We don't always drink water and tea. Sometimes you gotta have a little fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm off tomorrow. Yeah, let's have some fun. But so these things were prevalent back in the olden days. And by olden days, I mean like 20, 30 years ago, when things were a little bit less, crazy on your pockets. And then there was a certain level of respect in the relationship from both sides, men and women. There was a certain level of respect in the relationship that is not very prevalent nowadays. That's why a lot of people are not getting married nowadays. And then if they do get married, they do not stay married, right? So I asked the question again, what exactly are you bringing to the table? Just what are you bringing to the table? The kids, if you don't have kids yet, you could, I'm honestly drawing a blank. I can't see anything else. Conversation, understanding. Yeah, that's cool. But are you just going to not work? And then if you're working, where's your money going? There's nothing wrong with a 50-50 relationship. There is nothing wrong with a 70-30 relationship, a 60-40 relationship. Hell, even an 80-20. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But when you expect a person, you expect, you are such a great motherfucking person that the man who you're dealing with, it is a necessity that he pays for all his bills, all your bills, everybody's bills as a collective. What makes you so great as a person to demand that from somebody else? Tory Lane said something before. This was way before this Meg Thee Stallion shit, so don't even come at me with the bullshit. This was way before the Meg Thee Stallion shit, right? Tory Lane said he was talking to Joe Budden, and Joe Budden was like, with that crazy ass deep Joe Budden voice. he asked him, he's like, they were talking about Instagram models and stuff, and he said, so you just be out here sponsoring motherfuckers and paying for shit. And he was like, listen, if you can't buy it for yourself, why do you expect me to buy it for you? Why do you expect me to buy this thing for you when you can't buy it for yourself? So I'm just a fucking ATM to you, right? And that's how it comes off, right? I say this to any woman that I have a conversation with, and it has been a few of them. I say this after when the topic of paying all the bills comes up, right? I say this one thing and it gets the same reaction. I said, okay, I will pay all the bills. I'll pay all my bills, all your bills. I'll pay for the kids, right? But and when I say we, I mean everybody in this fucking house. We are going to do what I say, when I say, and there will be no fucking back talk at all. Sounds a lot like fucking slavery to me. Sounds a lot like I own you. You know what I mean? If you can't talk back to me, if you have to do everything I say when I say it, that's a fucking slave. You don't want to be that. I don't want you to be that. Right? That's just a hypothetical scenario that I put to combat the bullshit rhetoric that a man should pay all the bills in the house. Now, hey, if you are a guy and you want to pay all the bills, by all fucking means, go pay all the bills. Live your life. If that's your truth, live your truth. But you cannot expect a man to pay all the fucking bills when, especially in today's times, the stress that men go through, right? Obviously, men are not the only ones that go through shit. Feel as though I didn't have to say that, but I just, I feel as though I didn't have to, but at the same time, I know somebody's going to be like, oh, you're making it seem like nobody else goes through shit. And like, shut up. But my thing is, the stress on men who actually want to fucking do something with their lives, the stress that is put on men to succeed is ridiculous. Nobody gives a fuck about men until they do something substantial or die prematurely. Tell me I'm lying. Aside from your family, your family's gonna care about you. You're gonna fuss and fight with your family. Yeah. But aside from that, nobody gives a fuck about the trials and tribulations of men. Nobody gives a fuck about depressed men. Nobody gives a fuck about men who suffer from anxiety. Nobody gives a fuck about men who have insecurities that halt them from doing good things in their lives. Nobody gives a fuck. Why? Because they're men. Right? So when you get in that situation and you have to be honest with yourself, you'll realize that this rhetoric is a bunch of bullshit. To me, it's a bunch of bullshit. I just don't agree with it. I never will agree with it, right? Because, I made this joke, cause somebody posted it on Facebook a while back. I made this joke under the comment where it said, oh yeah, a real man is gonna pay all the bills, blah, blah, blah. And I made this joke. I was like, yeah, and she's gonna be, riding somebody else in your bed while you at work because she got all this free time. It was all in good fun. But like I said before, all jokes stem from truth. Right? All jokes stem from truth. You can try to be this knight in shining armor, but for people or for women to pay all the bills and stuff like that. But if you are gonna go down that road, you have to understand and make sure that the woman that you're paying all the bills for is worth it. You have to make sure that she's worth it. Right? And if you're a woman, are you worth it? Are you worth somebody sponsoring your lifestyle? Just because that's the way a real man acts? Are you? Because if I have to pay for everything, why do I need you? That's the question that I would like to have answered. Right? And I know people are going to listen to this and they're going to, want to combat what I'm saying. I am completely 110% open to discuss this with anybody. But the rhetoric just needs to go away. I know it's not going to go away, but I feel like it should. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Ooh, that bitch strong. Ooh. But, there's definitely a lot more conversations that need to be had with this. There's just definitely a lot more conversation to be had because you just think about the stress level that you're going to go through. Think about the stress that you're putting on yourself as a man to succeed. The stress on you from the outside world to matter. The stress that you put on yourself to reach your own individual goals. And then you're adding the stress of 1 extra. If you have a kid, if you have a child, 2 extra. If you have 2 kids, 3 extra. If you have 3 kids, 4 extra lives to provide. You cannot get hurt right? If you have a physical job, you cannot get hurt, because if you get hurt, if you are paying all the bills in your life, in your family's life, if you go down, the ship goes down, because you are the energy source that keeps this fucking ship afloat. How much stress is that? And you want to talk about male suicide rates? Women, the statistic is that women oftentimes attempt suicide more than men, but men by a large margin are more successful at committing it. So you take 10 women and only 2 of them are successful at suicide, but you take 5 men and 4 of them go through it. That is a crazy difference in percentage. Crazy. You know, that's well over 90%. Might be at 90%. But you get what I'm saying. So this is all fine and dandy. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have a guest on that may want to talk about this topic, and we can do that. We can definitely do that. But my stance on it, I don't think a man should be obligated to fund somebody else's lifestyle unless it's his kid. I just don't think a man should be obligated to pay all the bills in a relationship or marriage. But the fuck do I know? You know what I mean? I'm just a guy making videos and podcast episodes trying to, keep people on the up and up and open people's eyes to different perspectives and opinions. Speaking of perspective, make sure you check out Point of Perspective, Jermaine Perry's podcast on Anchor and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff. It's my uncle. His podcast is doing very well. So go ahead and check that guy out. But I'm going to end it with this. If you're one of those people if you're a man that feels as though it's the right thing to do to pay all the bills, go do that. If you're a woman that feels a man needs to pay all the bills and do all this stuff, go be that person. But do not be surprised if you are single for a very long time, because the way things are going now, a lot of guys are opening their eyes, and this shit is not going to fly with them, right? You might get lucky, but hey, it is what it is with that. So I don't fuck with it, but hey, it is what it is. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast, man. Make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at the handle that podcast. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at the same handle, at the handle that podcast. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. Excuse me, at Abdul_aesthetics. Like something is aesthetically pleasing. Abdul Aesthetics. Make sure to follow the YouTube or subscribe to the YouTube channel. Handle That Podcast on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to my personal YouTube page, Abdul Aesthetics on YouTube as well. And with that being said, man, hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Everybody stay groovy, be cool, stay positive, talk about these fucking things before you get serious with anybody. And above all else, handle that.